Okay, this is going to be a very quick video. I am going to mount this Versailles cross that I just got from Kelly. It is BC, well, Dawn Prince is what it is. Donald Prince. And this is the plant. Little baby plant, but it is Sophronitis in here, so it will be a small blooming plant. You can see the roots. Hopefully this is focusing. But I'm really just going to empty it out. Remove all of the media as much as I can without damaging the roots. And making sure there's no plug in the middle. Okay, so Sophronitis, Cernua, Sophronitis types, they like it a little bit drier, but they still like high humidity and good sun. And I can see the smallest growth over here. So it is maturing in this way, as evidenced by here is a growth that's developing. Here's a new one. So the plant is growing this way. So I am going to put it on this in this fashion. And I'm just going to zip tie it by the roots. Very lightly. With this plant, since it's so small, there is no need to put the zip tie through the plant. Just need to make sure the roots are down. And as you see, I have a pseudobulb in there. So I am removing it, and I messed that one up. But that is what happens when you're careless. So that is the latest growth that I just destroyed, but I've got it on the mount this way, and that's how I'm going to leave it because it's done. It is done. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit more. There. And you can always hide the strap. But I'm going to give this a nice drink and make sure that stays tightened. But make sure that I put the tag with the plant, date it, give it a good drink, and get it at rest and highlight high humidity. And that is BC Donald Prince. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your orchids. Okay, everyone, and this is going to be another repot of my very reliable Chysis lemingii that put up really nice growths last year after it bloomed. And they will produce new growths at the beginning of the growth season after a slight rest, but not in complete rest. You see it's bloomed, and then it puts up a growth that becomes a pseudobulb, which will provide next year's growth. So I am just going to repot it very gently. You see how fleshy the roots are? These are very heavy feeders in the summer when they're growing, very heavy drinkers, feeders. But as I said, they like a lessening of water. They like perfect drainage, big bark, lessening in winter. Highlight, cooler temperatures in the winter. They can take warmth, but not anything cooler than 70 degrees, they will suffer. And you don't want their pseudobulbs to wrinkle too much, as you can see in this plant, but those are the older pseudobulbs. Misting or raising the humidity will help if that is the case. So I am just really cleaning it out as best as I can, getting the old media out in the old pseudobulbs. Not really being too gentle with it, as you see. But you get the gist. These plants, the new roots, the roots that I am really being gentle of, those big fleshy roots, they are okay. I am preparing the plant for new roots, but making sure to get all of the old decaying matter out is important as well, because these plants are susceptible to just acidity and rotted matter. So keep it fresh. They don't want soiled. And as far as repotting, it's very simple. You can even put it in the same basket, which is what I am doing, because it really hasn't outgrown it. I'm just going to center it because it's growing from all directions, as you'll see. Putting back that peanuts that were in the original mix that I just took out, not even sanitizing it or anything. It's from that plant, so what's the point? And then I'm just centering it as I said, being gentle with the hanger. And there was some media in the bottom, which is just big bark, Orchids, and I am just filling it around, tucking it in as I go. Really simple process, really easy and quick. No mess, no fuss. These plants are typically in dormancy, a little bit of a dormancy right now. They're not actively growing. They are not totally deciduous, but they can be before they bloom in the early spring, late winter. I did add some charcoal, which helps the bark helps sanitize the bark and keep it fresher. And that's pretty much that. You see, it's pretty much done. And I'm just going to put the hanger back on, and that's it. Easy peasy. Also give it a nice drink and then just hang it high and dry. It will let me know when I need to repot it, or not repot it, but water it again. Usually when you see roots, I generally will water it. It isn't a little bit of a growth halt, a little bit of a resting phase. Okay, and this next one is my Amethyst glossa, which has done very wonderfully for me this year. You can see the new growths that are maturing. This can bloom off of old canes. Usually does bloom off of last year's canes or the year before when they are deciduous. So it is root bound. I'm taking off the hanger so that it's out of the way of the canes. Getting rid of the old canes, you see the one that's sticking out there to the right. I'm just going to rip that off, get the stake out, and I'll pot it up to a bigger pot. I believe that's what I'm going to do, I think, contemplating. So getting it out gently. These have been soaked overnight. And these are the canes that produced growths that are still growing. They're still maturing. You can see how tight the root ball is. Very, very wrapped around each other. There's hardly any media. There is the tag, which says Dendrobium amethystoclassa, species from, I believe it's the Philippines or Vietnam. But you can see it's mostly just peanuts and dust and roots. And I'm just getting out the middle part, which is essential. It may have a plug in there, may not. So I am putting it in, trying it in that pot. And eventually I settle. See, that's even too small. So what will I do? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang it in a hanging basket. Because it was actually hanging when it was outside. No, it wasn't. It was not. But it was in a pot. It was pot bound, so it needs to be hanging. It's actually easier for it. I hung it when I brought it inside. So here, this is a net pot, a net basket that is a heavier texture. So I have the new growing canes that are still maturing centered to the pot well from the edge, so it has room. And there is also room for future growth. I put the peanuts back in the base, and I am putting just straight bark, orchiata bark. Well, it's not orchiata bark this time. This is just plain bark. It's medium-sized bark. And I'm also going to put some charcoal in it as well. These like a lot of water while they're growing. As I said, they can be deciduous, and they do get less when they are in spike or bloom, or when they start. I'm not sure, but I believe that when these canes mature, these new canes, that is when I let up on the water, give it a higher light, perhaps cooler temperatures. And soon I should be seeing some bumps, leaves may be dropped. So I'm cleaning up the plant a little bit. Some excess old growths, blasted growths. And I'll go back and put some dragon's blood on that to make sure those cuts are sealed. And doing a little bit more trimming. And that's pretty much it, folks. I put a stake in there just to stabilize it a little bit more. And that is my Den Amethysta glassa. Easy peasy. And I will put the hanger on later.